Hey, how's it going, everybody? RC Maxfield alongside the legend himself, Lyle, here for another installment of the Back to 12 podcast. Lyle, it was a fun weekend for Texas Tech football. Volleyball did well too. They went 2-1. They're now 8-1 on the season. Tennis had some success. Just an overall good weekend for Texas Tech athletics. But hey, man, how was your weekend?
Man, enjoyed it thoroughly, man. Got a lot of wins. Got a lot of wins throughout the Texas Tech athletics, and got to run into some people this weekend, and watch us get a dub in overtime. A little bit too much for my blood, but I can't lie. It was good to see Tech get the win over some former guys that I worked with and former
Yeah.
teammates. So it was an awesome experience, man. It was great. Crowd was great. Everything was great, man. I
Yeah, I
can't
got
complain.
called out on Twitter for a take that I had. I had a premature take, Lyle. We can talk about it later on when we bring his name up because the guy I had a premature take on actually won an award this week. So that tells you how bad of a take it was on my part. But I do want to shout out everybody getting us to 700 subscribers. We're on our way to 800. Let's say this. I think we can get to like 850 by the Texas game because,
Yeah,
Lyle, hear this. People hear it from me and it doesn't, hold as much weight. But when they hear you say it or you hear it and react, you're going to have an issue with this. 81% of the people that listen to our podcast and our channel don't subscribe.
mm, yeah, that hurts. It hurts. That's like that's kind of like dating somebody halfway. If you're gonna date them,
Not
you
even
gotta.
halfway, just a fifth.
Yeah, that's like courting, as my mom and dad would say. You're just courting right now. It means you can see anybody else. So if you're out there, courting us right now, we appreciate you if you subscribe. And you never know what could happen or where it could take us.
Yeah, there could be a certain person on maybe next week on this channel, maybe two people, who knows. We've been teasing it for a little bit, but we'll tease it a little more and maybe post it on Twitter. But getting close to 800 on that. Lyle, where can they find you on Twitter though?
Man, you can find me at Coach LLEONG on Twitter. And you can find my main man where, let him know, RC.
You can find me at RCMB323. Did you see on SportsCenter they have the RC Awards now? I feel
Yeah.
crazy great about it.
Really,
Yeah,
I was gonna hit up ESPN. Either we need to get our show moved to ESPN, or we're
yeah,
gonna have to get some funds taken out of their, because we have this copy written. You have the blue check to prove it. And, they got to come up
yeah.
with some money.
Yeah. Ryan Clark definitely isn't the guy that they named it after.
Mm,
Definitely not. Just wanted to let everybody know that. That's kind of cool. Also kind of cool. I'll be hosting post-game Twitter Spaces. The last two, Lyle, combined over 900 people on average listen to them at a time. So that's really cool. Come have your voice heard right away, instantly after the game over on my Twitter. And again, we're giving you daily videos over here. I know the podcast is once a week, but we might have some interviews coming up here pretty soon.
mm.
Lyle was letting me know before the show started. So you're going to want to subscribe here on the channel. But Lyle, let me say this. I want to preface what my tweet said
Okay.
before we get into the crux of this, because I was wrong. What is that account where it's like cold takes exposed or old takes exposed? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
this tweet will 100% or at least should get exposed. And I'm ready for it. I said that there should be an open competition at quarterback for Texas Tech because of how, and I use this word very strongly because I think it really was, outside of one drive, how abysmal Donovan Smith was in the second half. But he was awesome in the first half, and you don't win the game without him in overtime. So I can admit my take was premature, where I said that they should have a competition every week. Because let's face it, Lyle, I was wrong. But I can admit that I was wrong. Donovan Smith should be the quarterback one until Tyler Shuck comes back, and shoot, maybe even after that as well, if there's a competition between those two.
Yeah, no doubt. And I said this in the past. I think Kittley's a pretty good offense coordinator, and
He might know
I,
what he's doing.
I don't think there's a big difference. I really don't. I think some experience, some throws here or there that may be, but I do not think it's a big difference between the two. I think this is a great depth in quarterback. This quarterback group is great depth because I think even if Morton came in there, I think he would do a good job. I truly do think that, and it's partly because Kittley understands that each quarterback is different. So if Ty was in there, he's going to call it different than if Donovan's in there. Morton's in there, he's going to call it different, and that's credit to him. And I think a lot of people, that's the part as a fan. Sometimes if you're not if you don't really understand the game, you won't see those little nuances, those changes. So I don't want to say that in overtime, Donovan got better. I think that Kit made some adjustments that made Donovan better. And I think that's the greatness of Kittley that a lot of people, he doesn't get credit for that he does. Because, it's a game of chess. Honestly, offense is guessing what the defense is doing. Defense is guessing what the offense is doing. And there's some people that are able to predict what that other team's going to do, get it right, and make it counter. But being able to adjust and tweak and do those on the fly is what makes people great. That's what makes Link. That's what makes Nick Saban on the defensive side. And he does a great job. And to me, that was the difference in the game. A minor adjustment. I think Texas Tech made a little better adjustments than Houston. But I think a lot of times people got to understand it's a lot different when you step into that big of a game. You sat out, then you come and you play Murray State the first week, and you come play a ranked Houston team that won in overtime, that everybody on their staff wants to win and will probably do anything to win. So I think it was a different magnitude of a type game. And I think it kind of took them a second to get in there. And also, like I said, the people got to make plays within that too. So I think it's a lot in that. And like I said, it always comes back to that quarterback, but guys have to make plays and coaches got to make those adjustments, which I think they did a really good job. So I was excited.
I think Houston did a really good job coming out at halftime.
Mhm.
Obviously, Donovan Smith wasn't the only reason Donovan Smith played bad in the second half. Like, you got to give credit to Houston in terms of the adjustment they made. I mean, Parrish had 4.5 sacks. Like, Donovan Smith was just getting absolutely, murdered on the left side. Really, it was bad. So the offensive line was an issue for Texas Tech, but I think that there's something in Donovan Smith that I knew he had, but it was one of those situations where you hear what Joey McGuire is saying about the quarterback room, and even what you're saying. I don't know the drop off from those guys. Like, we've seen Donovan Smith play a little bit more just because he's had that opportunity, but also at the same time, he's earned those opportunities to be the second string quarterback. But yeah, I think Kittley, in my opinion, he struggled in terms of some of the play calling, but I think that was back and forth on that chess aspect you talked about, where Dana Holgerson and the Cougars made an adjustment. All right, Kittley goes in and he tries a couple plays. Oh, crap, I got to make an adjustment. And it's not going to just happen. Oh, I saw what they did on that one play. Let me make the adjustment and all will be fixed. It might take a drive or two, and that's exactly what happened. But at the end of the day, Donovan Smith and the Texas Tech offense did enough in this game to win. But when it comes down to it, the unit that won this game for Texas Tech was the defense. Simple and plain. That's what it comes down to. This Texas Tech defense is legit. And we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but I want to jump into the NC State preview because this is a big time matchup for Texas Tech. There's a lot on the line here. And this from Matt Dowdy. Obviously, you know who that is, Lyle. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to SID. He brought absolute heat when it came to the game preview on texastech.com. So be sure to go check this out. There's a lot of game notes that I'm using from him right here, but Texas Tech is actually looking to secure back-to-back wins against ranked opponents since when, Lyle? When was the last time they did that? Do you know?
I want to say 2008.
Yeah, you might have been there. Yeah. So they when y'all beat number one Texas and then Oklahoma State in back-to-back weeks. Obviously, that was in late 2008. Also, since the AP poll debuted in 1936, this stat is wild to me. Texas Tech has not defeated multiple ranked non-conference opponents in the regular season ever.
But I do got to say, for a long time, and I've said it over and over, Leach in my area, watching Leach, it's just now becoming a thing where teams are scheduling good teams because it's coming down to this playoffs now, and that's the difference sometimes between three undefeated team or five undefeated teams. What's your strength of schedule? And so I think that's the difference we're seeing now. Because like I said, back in the day, that's you want, Coach Leach would play 3 guaranteed wins and start off Big 12, play Kansas first and be 4-0 going in and be ranked. So I think that's a part of the game that has changed. And I think it's cool. I think, kind of we missed out as players on getting to go play at at the Chick-fil-A kickoff or wherever, getting to go play those games. When I was at West Virginia, we played Alabama. We played Alabama first game. So just getting that exposure, getting to play on TV, playing top-notch teams, seeing where your team stands at the beginning is awesome. And so I think we're getting to see, we got to understand these are ranked teams. These are teams that are having a lot of returners come back. I know Coach Gibson, I was with him at West Virginia. I know he's a smart guy, very smart guy. So I love to see this matchup with him and Kit. But I think that we're getting to see kind of a different aspect. We're going against really good teams at early on in our season with a new coach and young guys that we just brought in. So I think, a lot of people got to understand that when we're watching, if you're going watching, looking for perfection, you're not going to see that right now. It takes time to put your culture in. And I know because I happen to coach a little bit and trying to install that where I'm at, but guys got to understand there's going to be their ups and downs, and not saying that Texas Tech can't win this game. They have the ability, but people got to understand it's tough. I tell people all the time, I argue with my coaches. One went to UTSA, so if anybody from there is listening, I'm sorry. But just explaining to them, when you're in the WAC or you're in the, if you're in a certain conference and you play one good team a year and beat them, and then you go play all teams like Houston last year, they lost to Tech, and then they played all teams with the losing record and went whatever they went 8-2. 9-9. That's not the same as Tech playing. We play North Carolina State, and we're gonna play Texas, then we're gonna turn around and play K-State, and we're whatever our schedule is, we're playing ranked after ranked after ranked after ranked opponents, and it takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your mentality, because like I said, for some of these teams, UTSA, they're getting up for these one games. Like, hey, this is our Super Bowl right here. If we beat them, we're supposed to win. If we don't, then we got paid. So I think that everybody's got to realize the mental part from an overtime game coming to play another ranked game. It's going to be a test, and I'm excited to see what those guys do.
Yeah, I think you talk about that. Texas Tech is one of only 4 teams in the Power 5 to have 2 non-conference games where those opponents are ranked. Oregon and Stanford are 2, and then Arkansas in the SEC. So you're the only school in the Big 12 that has this kind of talent in terms of if you take the polls seriously, which early on in the year, I get it, can be debated a little bit. But at the same time, you have to take it as, hey, this team is really good. And let's face it, North Carolina State, they're not going to be the best team that you play all year, but we'll talk about their quarterback in a little bit. Devin Leary is the best quarterback you will face this year, period. End of story. This guy is a pro, and it would not shock me at all if he goes in the first round. I also wanted to point this out. If Joey McGuire wins, obviously a big if, you got to handle a lot of business on the road, and goes 3-0 to start his coaching career at Texas Tech, he will join 3 other coaches to do so. Del Morgan in 1941. You might know this next guy, Lyle, Mike Leach in 2000. And then, well, the other guy too, Cliff Kingsbury in 2013. So not too bad. And Texas Tech actually improved to 8-7 all time in overtime games. The last time they actually won the overtime game that they were a part of, they actually won it on a QB run as well. And you might know who the QB was. I don't know. It's this guy that plays in Kansas City. Good hair. Oakley sponsors him. Adidas. Patrick Mahomes. It's whatever. He's not that big of a name. I promise. It's not that big of a name. Not at all. When you look at this NC State team, though, Lyle, right, you talked about a little bit. They returned virtually everybody, right? They started 22 guys last year. They returned 20 of them. And one of the guys they don't return was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
In Ike Ekwonu. He was a 6th overall pick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so they bring everybody back. You think Texas Tech is, old or has experienced nothing on NC State. What does that do to a team going into a raucous environment, which Raleigh will be? I mean, it's hard enough just to travel to the East Coast just when you're in Lubbock, but you're traveling to the East Coast an ACC school that is known to have raucous environments. And oh, by the way, they're also really good and experienced. If you're a player, what are you thinking in this situation? Because I mean, a lot of these Tech guys haven't been in this situation before.
And that's a great point. I was about to say that same thing. I don't think they're thinking because they don't know. It's one of those things. When I was growing up, I watched College Game Day a lot. I was like, man, I can't wait, or this is how it goes, or this is what's happening. And I was like, man, I know what it's like. But you don't know what it's like till you step out of there. And I give a perfect example actually when we the game day when we played OU. We were number 2, 2008. We win, we go to the Big 12 championship, got a chance to go to the national championship. And it's one of those things you watch on TV. I watched Texas beat USC in the champ. I watched all those games. I was like, man, I know what it's like. I've been there. I've done it in my head. And we come out the locker room and all the OU players are barking at us when we come out. And I was like, whoa, that's not what I saw on TV. I saw us run out in our lane and get ready to go. And, it kind of woke me up for a sec because, as a player, you don't hear the crowd. When you first run out, you hear the crowd. And so it's very sparingly when you hear the crowd throughout games. And like I said, I've been to stadiums, played in stadiums, but to have that thing rocking, to have that important of a game and have the intensity level, man, it's a different animal in itself. And you got to kind of find yourself within that and say, hey, and remember, you've got a job to do. This is a game, and not let the game be bigger than what it is. So I think for the guys that haven't experienced it, it'll be a televised game. And so, some of these guys are, people are watching, they want to do good on TV. I think it's important that these guys understand you have to do your job. You can't go out and do more than what's asked of you. And that's the quickest way to lose and go a different direction is try to do things that aren't asked of you. So for these guys, I'm excited to see what they do. And like I said, and not even really for, Donovan, we talk about Donovan all the time, but he's played in those. We got some new receivers, O-line, the defense been playing good, but like I said, have they really been tested? I don't know yet. Was Houston a very good offense? Absolutely. But if we're looking at the stats, they only had 266 yards, I think it was, which is, credit to Texas Tech for the job that they did. But as you stated earlier, it makes a difference when you have the type of caliber quarterback that they're going to go against. And I'm sure you can ask some folks around the Big 12 about Graham and the difference he made. So I'm excited to see what they do and just how they handle this situation because, like I said, it's a different atmosphere. Once that whistle blows, the little TV over the top is looking at you in the face. Everybody's watching. It's a different feeling. So I'm excited to see how they handle it, how coach prepares them this week, because there's no way to prepare. Leach used to turn on the speakers and act like it was a lot of people is not the same as 70,000 people screaming. So I'm excited to see how they react and just see them play away from home without, being switched up without the home crowd support. It's a little different. So I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is how does Texas Tech respond out of their comfort zone, right? Like they haven't had to travel this year. I mean, some of these guys have never traveled out of Lubbock, Texas to play a college game, and they're playing impactful roles on this team. Now, that's not obviously true for everybody, but that's true for some of these guys. And so I look at it, and the thing that has to happen, most importantly for Texas Tech, if they want to pull off an upset, and it would be a pretty substantial upset in Raleigh, is the defense has to travel. This is all based on the defense. The offense, hey, take your time. I understand, but you have to contain one man and one man only. And I know people are going to say, RC, he can't be that good. Well, he is. He is. He's the only ACC quarterback. Lyle, this stat blew my mind. Okay. In the prestigious history of the ACC, think about some of the quarterbacks that have played in the ACC. We're talking legitimate Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the NFL, right? There is only one quarterback to ever throw for 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions or less. And Texas Tech plays him on Saturday. It's Devin Leary.
Mm-hmm.
No one else has ever done that. And he gets all of his weapons back except for one lineman. Like, he's comfortable. You know what he can do in this offense. The defense has to show up first and foremost. And I'm not making it out to be like the defense has to just stifle this man, right? North
Yeah.
Carolina State's going to score. Like, let's
Right.
be honest about it. They're going to score, but you got to limit big plays. You got to make him uncomfortable, right? You got to hit him once or twice early. Tyree Wilson getting a hit on the quarterback, you don't got to sack him, but make sure he knows you're there, right? Just hit him, right? And that's going to be big early on in the first drive or two for NC State. You got to limit those big plays. And I think really you got to take a chance or two. And what I mean by that is whether that's on the blitz package or maybe in the secondary where it's like, all right, I'm going to take the chance here. I'm Rashad Williams. I'm going to take a chance at the pick. I need to know my safeties in the back to help me out, and we can limit a big play. But I also need to take a chance to see if I can just take one and steal a possession, right? Now, obviously, you don't want to do that all the time. But when you're facing that kind of competition at the quarterback position, they're typically not going to beat themselves. That's just how it is. So you have to just go out there and really just be opportunistic. And if one of those plays happens just miraculously after seeing him last year, where he just throws you one, you better capitalize. Yes. You have to. Like, if that ball's on the ground, you better capitalize. It's that simple. And the crazy thing is, Texas Tech has capitalized. I mean, this is arguably the best 2-game stretch that Texas Tech has had defensively. Tried to say 7 words at once there, Lyle. 3-word limit, right? That's the limit you were talking about?
Yeah, but that was tough, man. What you did right there, if we asked our subscribers, who could do that.
Well, 81% of the people watching don't subscribe, so.
Yeah. They wouldn't be able to do it anyway. But, those that do subscribe, I bet you will have some trouble, with trying to get those words out, man,
That's fair. That's fair. When you're talking as much as I do, you're going to mess up. But Tim DeRuyter's bunch has been absolutely phenomenal this year. They limit teams to 13 first downs a game. Yes, I get it. It's Murray State and Houston, but Texas Tech has struggled in the past against FCS schools. So I take it as a win. Again, the names to know are Devin Leary, and then on defense is Drake Thomas, the linebacker. He led NC State last year, one of those 10 returnees with 99 total tackles. And he played in all 12 games last year, and he's going to be the guy that's the Mike linebacker for them and gets them in order. So know the 2 quarterbacks on both sides of the ball for NC State. But, man, Devin Leary scares the ever-loving you-know-what out of me, Lyle. I think he is the real freaking deal. Give me your prediction, though. What's your prediction for this game? The over-under in this one is set at 55 even. What do you got in this one?
I'm going over. I'm going to go over simply because, last week I think we threw the ball 58 times, 59 times.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. We loved, shout out to you, Leach. You set me up, Coach Brown. Y'all set me up, but would love to get 59 chances to catch the ball. But I think it's going to go over. I think the key is, like you said, is momentum in a sense, and I think the biggest key for us is we need to be ahead. Like, if we score, they score, we score, they score. I think we got a chance. If they score first and then we don't score and then they score again, then we're going to see what our team is fully about, because, like I said, we haven't been behind. We've been behind. Let me take that back. We've been behind, but we haven't been behind on a team that is a veteran team that has been
and
here
on the road.
Yeah, and on the road. So a lot of those aspects that those guys got to realize, and that's the hardest part. Like I said, when you look around, there's no one cheering for you. You're down. You got to come together as a group. We're gonna see what these young men are made of, and like I said, I can tell you from OU, when Coach Leach cut off all the heat each time that they scored, he cut off a heater. It's tough to look around and be cold, and
I feel like you should turn the heater on more, right?
We'll have to start having story times. I have to keep my stories to PG, but we'll have to have a story time in each podcast where I'll tell a crazy.
There's an explicit button on YouTube. It's fine.
Yeah, I just don't want nobody to jump me when I go into my car for telling these stories. That's why
fair enough. Fair enough.
That's why we was good. But I think, like I said, on a serious note, just being able to adjust, trying to stay ahead of them and not giving them the confidence that they already have. And I know that they feel from being a veteran team. If we can kind of take that little aspect away from, I think we'll have a chance. And I think they'll be in for a surprise. What do you have?
What's your score prediction?
I knew you was gonna do it, RC.
I'll give you mine first. I'll go first if you want.
I'll go 35-21.
35-21 them.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually went a little higher, so come after Lyle on Twitter. I said 35-31 Texas Tech. So we're in the same range for them to score. I just think Texas Tech, to be fair to you, I do think it's like an 11-point game late, and then Texas Tech scores like a meaningless touchdown with a minute left or something like that. But I mean, this NC State team is all kinds of legit.
I think that they know what Kittley wants to do. And I think that they're good at moving the ball. I think they're good at clock management as well. So I think that's the difference. I don't think that they're necessarily better. I think they're more experienced. I don't necessarily think they're better. I think at some positions they're better, as we talked about at QB. But I think that they know if Kid gets the ball back, he's got a chance, just like Houston. At the end, they gave him the ball with too much time left. You can't give that man
how it goes.
A lot of time. So I think that they know that, they understand that. And if Houston could take it back, I bet you they take off a little bit more time than they did it if they could, because you just score when you could score. But I think those guys are going to be very cautious of that and kind of take their time and score. If they could score 7, take time, score 14, take time, score 21, because Tech has the ability to score 15, 20 seconds with his offense and the way his mind works. So, I think we're in the same boat. I would love for them scores to be flipped around and Tech to be on top for all you folks listening. So, but
got to be realistic, though.
Yeah, being real. I think that's where we're
stand. Not gonna. That's the one thing on this podcast we can both agree on. We're not gonna sugarcoat this stuff for you. Like, we're just gonna be upfront and honest with you. If you don't like it, sorry. There's other sugar-coated Texas Tech podcasts you can listen to, but I don't believe in that stuff. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. That's just how it is.
No doubt, absolutely, bro.
All right. Let's run through these bets real quick. I was abysmal last week, Lyle. I mean, god awful. I went 3-6-1. It was terrible. I was awful, simple and plain. But here we go. Texas Tech at number 16, North Carolina State. Give me the over, set at 55. I think Oklahoma, this line confuses me. Nebraska just fired Scott Frost. How is this only a 10.5-point game in favor of Oklahoma? I'm taking the over. By the way, is Oklahoma officially the school that plays the team that fires their coach the next week now? Because think about it. Texas Tech did it last year. Now Nebraska. Maybe I don't know when West Virginia plays Oklahoma, but maybe that's it too. Just saying. Texas State at Baylor. Give me the over 52.5. I've got Ohio at Iowa State. I've got Iowa State covering the -17.5. Kansas State is legit, people. Like it or not, I think they just obliterate Tulane. Give me the -16 there. Kansas at Houston. It was fun while it lasted, Jayhawks, but it ends in Houston. I think Houston just wants to prove a point. They cover the -9.5. UTSA at Texas. Give me the under there. I think Jeff Traylor, the next head coach of Texas, whenever that moment comes.
Wow.
Keep it under there.
You got to sneak that in. You heard it.
Hey, I got to sneak it in there. And then Townsend at West Virginia. I'll give it to you here, West Virginia. You beat this team. You go over the 53.5. And then Arkansas, Pine Bluff at number 8, Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State hangs 70 on them. I think it's really that easy. Let me know in the comments, though, your favorite bets of the week. Again, Lyle and I have Texas Tech losing, but covering the over. And good teams cover, Lyle. That's the saying. So let us know in the comments what your favorite bet is. And again, if you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing at this point. 81% of you people that listen don't subscribe. That's disrespectful to Lyle. Not me. I don't care. That's disrespectful to that man. It's disrespectful to him. What did he do to you? It's a slap in the face. That man's a legend. He caught TDs for you on Saturday and made you happy, and now you're doing this. It's blatantly disrespectful, and we won't have it. But Lyle, maybe they'll follow you on Twitter. What's your Twitter, man?
Follow me at Coach LLEONG.
And you can follow me at RCMB323. We'll be back next week and maybe have a interview or two, question mark?
Yeah, I know we keep saying that. Y'all keep popping on here and be like, y'all done said that 3 weeks in a row. But let me tell y'all something, okay? And you 81%ers, okay? It's going to be somebody, okay? I'm going to do my job. I give you a clue.
There we go.
wipe down his helmet, carry his pads, dust off his shoes. You'll never hear that.
You're gonna want to see it. There's multiple guys. We'll space them out, but you're gonna want to see it. He's Lyle. I'm RC. We appreciate you listening to the Back to 12 podcast. Again, one more time, be sure to hit that big red button to stay in the know on Texas Tech athletics all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.